Okay, this video is going to help you with Unit 4, which covers elections, political parties, and interest groups. And I'm not sure why the other video didn't work, so that's why I'm recording another one. The first question deals with the influence of social media when it comes to elections. And whether or not you believe that this is a positive trend and why or why not it would be. In other words, with the advent of social media, people are not really watching television as much to get their news. They're certainly not reading newspapers as much to get their news. They're only getting little snippets of information off of social media, whether it be, Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or X or Snapchat or whatever it is. It is going to be a very abbreviated snippet of the news and following campaigns. Now, on the other hand, you've got to realize that political candidates are using social media all the time, and I don't think there's any indication that that will stop. So I want you to be really pretty specific in your answer about how you believe, and you can take this from your own experience, how you believe social media can influence people when it comes to elections. And if you want to Google it a little bit, there was a lot of discussion about the use of social media in the 2020 campaign, when there was a lot of concern about whether Russia had tried to influence that campaign using social media. And then the second question is on third-party candidates. And I think it's interesting. I mean, Elon Musk has been throwing out the possibility of creating a third party. Obviously, it would probably be closely aligned with the Republican Party because that's where he began. And certainly he was an important part of President Trump's campaign. But whether he's actually going to do that, the hype has kind of died down a little bit. But the question would be, why don't third-party candidates actually win anymore? I don't want you to think that they don't have influence, because they do. And when you're thinking about this question, think particularly when your book talks a little bit about the influence of the Electoral College and the fact that we have a winner-take-all form in our elections, particularly the presidential elections there. So you might think about that as you're talking about whether or not you believe that third-party candidates have much chance of winning. And again, I would argue they do not. But on the other hand, how can they have influence? And maybe do a little bit of research on the Musk American Party, as he's calling it. What's the ideology of it? Does it seem to be differing any from the platforms of the regular Republican Party and the Democratic Party? And then the last one is on interest groups. And what I want you to think about here is an interest group that would benefit you in your future career. So if you want to be an engineer, you might be Googling engineering interest groups. If you want to be a nurse, you might be Googling interest groups that deal with nurses. And if you would just get in there, go to their website and find one. Find out as much about it as you possibly can. In other words, what we want to know is, what is the mission of that interest group? What are they trying to do? How big is the interest group? How many members do they have? What is the leadership structure? Who's running that particular interest group? And then how much does it cost to be a part of that interest group? And if you don't know what your future goals are, that's okay. Just think about an area that you are interested in. Maybe you're interested in the environment and you'd like to learn a little bit more about an environmental interest group. Okay, hopefully this will help you out. And as always, if you have questions, please reach out and let me know.